Up Roses. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Kelly, and this is your Friday, January 21st edition, episode 46. Coming Up Roses.
Yep. And as we record this on Thursday, little inside baseball for you folks, we record a day early, or try to. This is recording number one. Hopefully this is the first one you see. Anyway, the weather outside is frightful.
But the snow is going to be so delightful.
We didn't plan that. That naturally happened. So they're calling for like 3 inches to 4 inches of snow, which is kind of, we usually get about that every year, but not.
Wavy said 4 to 8.
4 to 8
on
Friday. So, yeah, and so that could mean a lot of things. We're still up in the air with the stranded parents down in Georgia.
The continuing saga of how we're going to get mom and dad home from Christmas in Georgia.
Yeah, Christmas is probably going to turn into Mike's birthday, our anniversary, Valentine's Day.
Tomorrow was going to be attempt number 2 of us. Last weekend was going to be attempt number 1, but it got snowed out. This weekend is attempt number 2. We're crossing our fingers for Sunday.
Yeah.
Just hoping that the roads are clear enough for us to get out on Sunday, or else it'll be attempt number 3. Who knows when?
Yeah. We've got plans like B and C and D.
There's multiple plans that we don't agree on whether or not we should use them.
Some of them are very expensive. Some of them are logistically
arranging time off for all the people who have to be involved. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, they are safe and sound in Georgia.
Yeah.
All there have recovered from COVID. No new outbreaks.
Yeah. So as y'all remember, in the last episode, we thought the biggest worry was one of us catching COVID. We laugh at that now.
That thankfully has not happened, or if it happened, it was so mild we didn't even notice.
Yeah. I did take a test after the last recording. I was good. No COVID.
Yeah, we're doing okay.
Yeah.
So the big news now is just Snowmageddon. I feel like a little kid. That feeling of a snow day never goes away.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, though, you had to get up early and watch the news and wait for your school name to, your district to scroll at the crawler at the bottom. And then it advanced from that to, you'll get a phone call that should come by 5:30 or 6. Then it advanced to, you'll get a text message. Now they pretty much announce it pretty well in advance. Like we heard today about 1 o'clock, noon, 1 o'clock, that tomorrow was not a non-school day. It's a virtual school day. So we sent our little ones home with backpacks probably as heavy as they are. Some of those kids had their Chromebook in their Chromebook case, their charger, their normal folder, their folder with all their stuff in it for their work tomorrow. And then some kids, take food and stuff home for the weekends. They normally get on Fridays. Well, since we're not there, they had food for the weekend, and their literally we had to get somebody else to carry their backpacks because it was just
they're 5.
Poor little kids.
Little side thing. I clearly remember when I was a kid in kindergarten, we just had to bring the little mat to take a nap on.
No.
So, but that was.
They don't really carry much back and forth on a normal day.
Yeah.
They have a folder, which, to be honest with you, so much of what we do is we don't do worksheets and things like that anymore.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, you had colored the letter M worksheet and that one.
Yeah.
We don't really do that stuff much anymore. We do more authentic word work and practice that doesn't get sent home. So there's not tons of stuff going home on a daily basis. But today we just overloaded.
I'm always amazed at stuff that your kids learn at kindergarten, because comparatively, and leave a note in the comments what you remember from kindergarten. Like, I'm sure I'm not the only one who remembers taking naps. Like, that was the nap time, which, God, I would kill for that now. if the job suddenly said, you know what, we're going to give you an extra 20-minute break for you to take a nap, I'd be like, hell yeah.
I would still. I have a few kids that I can tell when their nap times are like you're just getting tired and cranky.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, it has been a decent week. Well, we didn't have school Monday, and now we don't have school Friday. So any kind of week like that,
yeah,
is good. But it's so funny. My lower back for the past week has just been crazy, and it was really hurting today. Like Tylenol with ibuprofen was not even touching it, and it just to sit is painful. And as soon as I heard we didn't have school tomorrow, miraculously, my back started feeling better.
She told me that. I said the weight has been lifted off of you. That's what it is.
I'm going to get so much actual schoolwork done tomorrow. It's going to be amazing. So anyway, that's the big news here in Virginia Beach. They've been all over the map on this snowstorm from like an inch to 15 inches, I think.
Yeah,
was the highest
that
I
was the
heard.
big thing that went around Facebook the other day was that we were getting 15 inches.
Yeah.
Just in Virginia Beach, like the surrounding area was getting. It had to be a mistake, and apparently it was because now they're saying like the tops is 8 inches.
There are still some that are saying, some weather. That's one thing I do notice is there's lots of variations of weather forecasting.
Yeah.
And some are still like, oh, it could get up to 10 inches. You never know. And that's how it happens in Virginia Beach.
Yeah.
It's never actually what you prepare for. It's gotten a lot better than when I was a kid. Because when I was a kid, it was like, oh, it's going to snow, and you'd get so excited, and there'd be nothing. At least now you know you're going to get something. But, so anyway, that's been really the focus of our whole week.
Yeah.
Has been just what's happening with the weather and how we're going to work that out with our other plans. But next week, or no, tonight. Is it tonight the Amazing Race starts?
Yeah, I think it is tonight.
We literally haven't had the TV on.
Yeah, we've been behind.
2 weeks, 2-3. I mean, we listen to podcasts at night.
And the only
don't turn the TV
new
on.
shows that I'm interested in right now are the Book of Boba, and on Disney Plus, and Peacemaker on HBO Max.
But he watches all of that when I'm not around.
Oh, and I started watching a reality show at the Next Level Chef with because Fox lives and dies by Gordon Ramsay. But they had this competition where there was a couple of guys that I follow on TikTok that do cooking on TikTok. One of them is hilarious, Gary the Grill Master, and he's hilarious. If you get a chance to follow him on TikTok, do that. But he was the first one out, which kind of sucks. But what are you gonna do, right?
Well, as far you watch all of that either while you're at work or
it's streaming, so I throw it on like Hulu or whatever.
In the morning when you get up at 3 a.m. because of the damn dog.
Yeah, the dog's been a little crazy.
Kevin put the flannel flat sheet on our bed.
That was a mistake.
Tilly decided that was just too warm for her, and so she wanted in between that sheet and the quilt. And where she ended up, I was freezing because she had all the blankets.
You know what? We're going to do that next week. We're going to address this next week. Our dog, I love our dog. I with all of my heart. I can't tell you. It's crazy how much we love our dog.
We found out that she's in Gryffindor.
Yeah.
We sorted her today.
We're going to do a Tilly episode next week because she has got particular things about her that are unlike any dog I've ever seen before. So I'm calling it.
All right, next week is
we're going to do a Tilly episode.
You've been asking for a Tilly episode.
Yeah. Well, I mean, because there's just crazy shit that with this dog and I love her, I really do, but she's just so odd.
All right, well, next week will be Tilly.
Yeah,
Tune in for that.
Yeah.
So around the house, though, we don't even put jokers on much anymore.
No, it's just been old podcasts and.
It really has just been old podcasts and us listening to random TikToks and.
We threw the news on, the local news on a little bit today just to see the Snowmageddon stuff. That's about it.
And then I turned the school board meeting on, but I got over that really quick.
Yeah, don't watch the school board meeting. I know you should because that's a responsible citizen thing to do, but fuck, those people are crazy. They really are.
Well, in this particular situation, there's a law that says the school has to stay open 5 days a week for in-person learning, if you're and you have to be using COVID mitigation strategies as recommended by the CDC. The CDC recommends universal indoor masking, and the governor wrote an executive order to allow parents to have the choice whether or not their kids are masked at school.
Yeah.
So those two things directly, oppose each other.
And I'm not for mandates, but if the law trumps any type of mandate or any type of.
Well, the courts are going to
government.
have to decide that because already.
I mean, it has to. I mean, I'm going to be consistent. If an executive order does not trump an actual law, it can't, because otherwise you just have a dictatorship, and that goes for the federal government all the way down to the mayor. If there's an actual council or state litigation or congressional law that is properly passed, there's no executive order that supersedes that law. I'm sorry, it doesn't.
The Supreme Court of Virginia is going to decide that.
Well, that's the only way they can decide.
It's already heading there.
I mean, that's the only way it can go. Now, I'm not a big fan of mask mandates. Unless you're wearing an KN95 or an N95, you're just wasting your time, particularly with Omicron. But, that's the law. There is a passed law. So you have to abide by the law. Executive orders cannot, eliminate a law. It doesn't work like that.
So anyway, the school board meeting came on and went off pretty quickly because it's the same battle we've been listening to.
Yeah.
But we are big reality TV junkies.
Yeah,
we watch the CBS shows mainly.
Yeah, because that's really the big three there.
Survivor,
Big Brother, and then
Amazing Race.
Amazing Race.
Which the Amazing Race starts tonight, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Celebrity Big Brother, which I wasn't too impressed with Celebrity Big Brother.
No.
But that starts February 2nd, so in the lack of anything else to do with my brain, we may turn that on and see what happens.
Because you always hear it's like these, they're like E-list celebrities. And you're like, I don't even like this person. And then you watch and you're like, all right, I kind of like that person. Or you're like, God, that person's so damn dumb.
Well, they
do
don't
not
have
understand.
Anything. When you're watching regular Big Brother, there's $500,000 on the line.
Mm-hmm.
That money is life-changing for a lot of the people who are just cast. Like legit cast, not searched for.
And they're usually fans that know the show.
There are some people who they just approach to cast.
Yeah, because they have
they have to fill a certain
they have
formula.
A stereotypical. Yeah, they have a formula that they had. They 1 year, this was Big Brother. They have a formula that they stuck to for the longest time. That literally, this kid auditioned for the show, and when they gave him the key, because they do this big thing where they give you the key as a surprise, he literally had a playbook in his pocket that he wrote on how to win it, and he won it. He won the show.
He did. He was a good player.
Yeah.
But so let's talk about the three. Amazing Race. If you've never seen it, it's teams of two. Most of the time, they're people who know each other.
Yeah.
I just realized as I was looking, we never turned our light on because we don't have that little thingy-majig anymore.
Yeah.
So our lighting is crap tonight. But if you're listening on Spotify, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, we're living there. We got to buy a new thing.
Yeah. Okay. So the Amazing Race is teams of two, generally people who know each other, but they've done seasons where they've been total strangers.
Yeah, a couple times. Yeah.
They work together and they race around the world, competing in challenges and all
they
these
usually
different
start
spots.
in L.A. or somewhere in the U.S. and then they circle the globe and end up somewhere else in the U.S.
And they compete in crazy challenges.
Yeah, usually something that's local based, like some sort of task that's done on the daily.
There's a lot of cultural stuff.
A lot of very
native to wherever they are.
And
so you learn a lot about all these different countries by watching.
It's fantastic.
Educational TV.
Yeah, it is. It's really the better of the three. I mean, the other two are just basically, trash TV. They're just trash. You're just watching it to watch people stab each other in the face. It's really what you're watching it for. But Amazing Race, you do get to see all these different cultures and whatnot. Like you see them in India, and it's like, how do people drive there?
I know, it's so crazy.
Like India or China, but particularly in some of these places, it's like they're crazy.
And I'm not a world traveler. I won't even drive on the roads in New York. And these people are going and driving cars they're unfamiliar with.
Yeah, they're on the same road with people on little mopeds.
And then bungee jumping off of cliffs. Like, they just do crazy stuff.
Yeah.
You have to be an adrenaline junkie to compete on The Amazing Race. Would you say that is true? Survivor is a single player, just a bunch of people on an island just trying not to be the last one voted off.
Yeah.
And they do challenges too, and in the beginning of Survivor, it was hardcore.
Yeah, they did a lot more physical challenges, but more and more people were dropping. Like medically dropping out because, 1 year, and this is hilarious, we tell this story, your dad is bad luck for anybody he roots for.
He is. If he starts to root for a football team, a baseball team, a person on a reality show, it's an immediate cosmic shift that happens, and that person is immediately in mortal danger.
It's great because, especially on Survivor, it seems like with Survivor, it's almost immediate. He said one time they were getting off this boat, and one of them, they kind of interview them and they show their interview while they're doing the stuff. And one of them was like a baseball player who played professional baseball. He just wants to win it because he doesn't give a shit about the money. He just wants to win it. And Dad says, "Well, that's my guy. He's going to win this whole thing." Trips himself up, gets caught up in a rope, falls off the boat, and nearly loses his leg.
Yeah. Second time was a player that had been on Big Brother.
Yeah.
Who Dad wasn't really fond of on Big Brother, but he went on Survivor and he had a whole different
because
personality about
he
him.
matured between the shows.
It's just a different game.
Yeah.
It's just a different kind of game. And we're watching him, and he is like kicking ass in this game.
He's
and
a
it's an
true athlete.
endurance game. Like, it was hot.
It's like
And
rugby almost.
Dad was like, "I don't know, I'm changing my mind about him. I think he might win it." And no sooner did Dad say that than he had heat stroke.
He had a heat stroke.
And they had to
nearly
evacuate him off the island in a medical helicopter. He almost died from heat stroke.
Legit almost died.
Every time Dad said, "I'm really pulling," we're like, "No!
Shut
don't
up!
Say it."
That person's having a hard enough life.
Dad really
Did
has
you hear
bad...
their story? His wife died.
It's gotten to the point now where we'll get to the end of the show and he'll say, "Wow, this is the person I had," or whatever. He won't even tell us who he's rooting for anymore. So Survivor is more of a survivalist game, although they're not going to let those people die. So the food is scarce and they have to learn how to live off the land. And all of that. It's more of a social game, really, than it is.
And here's the thing: if you know you're going on Survivor, you need to know how to build a shelter, how
Make
to
a fire,
how to fish. If you go there not knowing any of that bullshit, you deserve to go out there and starve a little bit. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There's people that go there that don't know how to swim. And 60% of their challenges involve swimming.
And you have to play the line between being good and helpful for your tribe and being too good.
Yeah.
Because if you're too good, they're going to get rid of you. If you're not good enough, you're going to get... You have to walk this really fine line.
Like Ozzy. They had a player, he played 6 times. Literally one of the best players ever at the physical challenges.
Oh, nobody could beat him in a physical challenge. And
he was a great
never
fisherman.
had a chance to get rid of him.
The problem was that he was too good. He always got voted out towards the end because if he was sitting at the end, here's a dude that literally kept people alive.
But in the team portion of the competition, they keep him because no one can beat him.
Yeah.
So he serves a point while they're playing as a team. And then when they switch and they're all playing individual games, he's top of the list out.
Yeah.
So it's this, you have to build really strong relationships, but then you can't.
Once they get to a point where they know they're not going to starve because there's only about a week left, they're like, all right, Ozzy's going to go.
They're going to, gotta let him go.
Yeah.
And then the last one, which is my personal favorite, is Big Brother.
Yeah.
The least athletic of the shows, although
they do some athletic stuff, but
challenges that are
their games are a lot more goofy than the others.
Yeah, and there are some endurance. Most of the time, it's not really ever who you have the big muscular guys, and it's like, oh, they're going to suck at these endurance challenges because it's usually the small, thin people who can hang onto the wall forever. But it's mainly a social and an alliance kind of game.
Yeah.
And so I like to, for a long time we watched just the show, and then we started watching the live feeds because you can get the live feed so you can kind of tune in whenever. and you hear all their conversations, and you get a lot more of the backstory of what's really happening. The show is very highly edited, obviously.
And they have the best editors. I'm sorry,
they do, but they edit it to slant the audience in one way or another. Yeah. It's very clear if you watch the live feeds. Sometimes things that are awesome in the live feeds never even make it to air.
Yeah. But the editors edit things also in a way that's hilarious. Like they'll add sounds in or whatever. Yeah. They should get awards for editing.
It's my favorite of the three. So when we talk about like which one do you think you'd be better at? Take the physical part out of it, because clearly none of these we'd be able to do physically.
I'd probably do art at
Big Brother.
I would do art at Big Brother.
You would probably do okay, but the real hard, like digging through the mud challenges and stuff, I'm not so sure you'd be great at that. But you'd be like that guy last season who was just like, man, I could lose every one of them, and he made it to the final two. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I know that there's going to be. I would know even if I lost a bunch of weight. I would know that there's going to be stuff that I'm just not going to be able to do. I'm not going out there to win every challenge because I know it's not going to happen. The thing about that is to know when to win and when to look like you're trying to win but not. And there's masters of it on that show. And then there's people that suck at it. Oh yeah, you definitely threw that. You 100% threw that.
What would your biggest strength be playing Amazing Race?
I think my biggest strength there is that the ability to work with the indigenous people. Because I don't mind, you know this, I don't mind going up to people and just starting conversations anyway. I don't mind going up and asking the locals for help. Now, there's a language barrier, but I'd figure that out somehow or another. And I've always said that if I lost a bunch of weight, I would probably want to do Amazing Race. Now, I would want to do it with Chuck.
Yeah, he wouldn't do it with me.
No.
I love you. We wouldn't be good.
Yeah, we wouldn't work out that
You and Chuck would make a good team because he's a planner and you're a fly by the seat of your pants guy. You kind of need a little bit of both.
You absolutely need a little bit of both on that. Truthfully, Bud, if you're watching, I need to lose a ton of weight, but we could do that, dude. I'm 100% for it.
The first where you would have to run to get to the car, y'all would be the last one. You'd get some rundown jalopy.
We might be the first ones eliminated, but at least we'll still be in the U.S., so there's that. What would you think about Survivor? What would be your... I mean, I would prep before. If I really wanted to go on Survivor, I would learn how to make a fire several different ways. I would learn what great ways to make shelters and whatnot, and I would learn to fish and do all of that stuff long before I got to it. I am not able to do any of that stuff, so I would say I would have to learn.
So wouldn't that be a deterrent? Like that would be your strongest thing?
Yeah. That would keep me from going on Survivor. Survivor would be the last one I would do because, I guess it's one of the best ways to lose weight because you see people literally lose a ton of weight. They're there for 30 days.
Not so much anymore, though, if you pay attention. Like, there were seasons where we were like, that girl's going to die. Like, you could literally see her hip bones. And
they would do that, too. There was a couple where they used to show the start and finish.
They would measure them.
Like, they looked like freaking Ethiopians from the 80s.
It's not so much like that anymore, though.
Yeah.
They feed them.
They have to.
The cameras aren't looking. Big Brother.
I could do Big Brother.
I know. What do you think your strongest asset?
People love me. I'm not even trying to make a joke about it. I've made mistakes and accidentally hurt people and shit, and they immediately forgive me.
They're afraid of you.
Well, I don't think they're afraid of me.
Intimidated by you?
I don't pull off intimidation all that well, unless I'm really trying to do it.
You're talking to me right now with a furrowed brow, like.
Are you intimidated?
I'm not intimidating.
Are you intimidated?
No, because I know you.
Because I suck at it. I suck so bad
now
at it.
you're trying so hard not to furrow your brow.
I've only pulled off intimidation a half dozen times. It was one time, one of Tabitha's friends who I didn't like, he went, and I didn't know the situation fully, but he wanted to go to the movies with us, and I was taking Tabitha and one of her friends, and then he was wanting to tag along. I got this close to his face, and I was like, look, boy, I live in the third largest swamp in the world. You touch these girls, they won't find you ever. And that boy about pissed his pants.
Oh my god. Poor kid.
That was great.
Just wanted to go to the movies.
Yeah, well, that's all he did was go to the movies.
Yeah, all right. Well, I don't think we'll ever make it onto reality TV.
No, probably not.
If we did, it would be one of those,
a podcast.
Relationship boot camp or something. I don't know.
I don't even think we need that.
I don't think we need that. We could go as, like...
The control?
Yeah. Control group.
The control group.
People be like...
The placebo. These people aren't supposed to be here.
This ain't right. They never fight with each other. We'd never get any camera time, I can tell you that right now. We'd win at the end, and everybody would be like, who are those
crazy.
people?
The fuck is wrong with these people?
Were they here this whole time? We're over in the corner just listening to TikTok. Yeah, I don't think we're built for reality TV. Although, when you get into the cable networks, there's some really...
Yeah, there's crap TV.
Crap reality TV.
And then Fox, the Fox network is all Gordon Ramsay. So, I mean, there's the dozen or so cooking shows that he does. Plus, the Food Network's got a bunch of cooking shows. But I don't think I would want to be that. I'm definitely not going to cook on that kind of level.
No.
So.
You're good. But you're not like
no, not those people making crazy ass dishes.
All right, so I thought, you like things like Big Brother, you always talk about which one of them is more likely to do this or who's more likely to do that. So let's throw out some who's more likely to.
All right,
okay?
Let's do it.
All right, so which of the two of us do you think is most likely to forget people's names? Really?
Yeah.
I will forget someone's name 10 seconds after they told it to me. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Same.
I mean, I'll remember faces. I'll be like, I know this person. But...
I don't even... Well, for me at work right now, it's hard to even know faces because I can't see their faces.
Yeah, the whole mask thing.
I had a kid this morning, came to the door and waved in, and I waved back. I said, hey, and then they walked away, and I said, I wish I knew who that kid was, because you only see from here up. And they had a hood, So you think we're equally...
Yeah.
Okay, so if you meet us, please don't be offended if we don't remember your name 5 seconds after.
Just say, hey, it's me.
Here it is. Here's what it is for me. I have so much social anxiety that I'm thinking through all of the things that person's judging me on that I'm not paying attention to. And then I will talk and talk and talk about nonsense shit. And then when that person walks away, I'm like, why the hell did I ramble on and on like that?
See, I have a different
But
approach.
I will not have caught the name. I have to repeat it to myself a few times. And then while I'm doing that, I'm not paying attention to what they say.
I got a different trick. It works 100% of the time.
Then you remember people's names?
No,
you don't
I don't.
Try. You just don't even. You own up to it.
Buddy, what's up, buddy?
I do that at school
what's up, brother?
all the time.
Brother, buddy. How you doing? I don't have to remember your name. I just use a affirmation like buddy or brother
right.
or sister. Or...
And I get that, and I do that at school too a lot. Like the kid will come in and I'll say, "Hey, bud, how are you?" If I don't remember who they
100%.
are.
There's people watching this or listening to this saying, God damn it, he's done that to me.
If Kevin calls you buddy, it's because he doesn't remember your name. Just say, hey, I'm so-and-so.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, which one of us is more likely to forget our wedding anniversary?
Neither one of us will forget that.
I don't think either one of us will forget that.
No.
What is it?
February 17th.
Very good. What year?
2007.
All right. Coming up.
Yeah.
The big 1-5.
15-year mark.
Our
Our Cash App is at KRose.
Stop it. Mom, I'll call you back in a little bit. My mom just called me.
Should have took the call.
Who's most likely to get stuck in a swing?
Yeah. Because if I'm in a swing and I'm like over it, I'll jump out of it. I don't give a shit. I might, face plant or whatever, but I'll get up. I'll be all right.
Who's most likely to go skinny dipping in the winter when it's snowing?
Nobody. Nobody's doing that.
Nope, neither of us are doing that. Who's more likely to go on a hunger strike?
Nope.
That would be the very last thing I'd ever choose to
If
strike.
you're on the death row and they're going to put a needle in your arm, and they said, well, we're doing a hunger strike for so-and-so, I don't care who you are. I'm like, oh, well, sorry, dude. There's another one, dude.
Dude, yeah. Skippy.
Skippy.
Who's more likely to fall asleep during a movie?
Oh, you are, actually.
I would say I am. I don't like movies very much.
Depends on the movie.
Although, here's a guy who will say, he'll be dozing off, and I'll say, yeah, I'm fine, I'm good. In like 10, not even 10
That's
seconds.
a Rose Boy thing.
He can go to sleep in like 3 seconds flat. It's unbelievable.
All the Rose Boys can do that. That's a Rose Boy thing.
Yeah. If it's a movie that I'm not really into, I'll fall asleep.
Yeah, I mean, if it's not something that I give a shit about, or it's a movie I've seen.
Have you ever fallen asleep in a theater?
No. I wanted to.
Yeah, me too.
You ever get a chance to see Open Water? Don't. It's a suck movie.
No, there's a movie I wish I could have fallen asleep in that was Lone Survivor.
No. I like that movie, but it's hard to watch.
But it was so gut-wrenchingly disturbing to watch.
Yeah, it's a tough watch.
That I literally had my eyes closed because I could not stand to watch it. And then just listening to it was giving me such anxiety that I was just reciting the alphabet and counting to 100 over and over in my head.
Yeah.
And when I told Kevin that, he's like, you should have just left the theater. And I'm like, how could I leave the theater?
Because it's a true story.
Those guys lived through that. Well, one guy lived through that. So it's called Lone Survivor. But he lived through it.
Yeah.
And I can't even sit through a movie theater for like an hour and a half, 2 hours.
It's a crazy movie. At one point, these guys, they're Green Berets, or not Green Berets, they're Navy SEALs in Afghanistan, and they literally have to throw themselves off the side of a mountain on a 40-degree slant to try to live.
And then we wonder why these guys come back all messed up.
Yeah.
Who's most likely to be a horrible actor or actress?
Oh, me.
Which one of us would be the worst actor?
Me, for sure. I can't lie. I suck at lying.
Plus, you
not that I won't lie. I'm just real bad at it.
No, acting is not a lie. That's so totally different than lying. The reason I say you is because you fumble to get through the opening line of our podcast every week.
3, 2.
No matter how many times do you say, welcome to...
I did it in one this week.
You did good.
Yeah, I hope this records.
We rehearsed it.
I hope this is the first take. I really do. It's because of the recent name change. I mean, when it was after I get used to the name change, we're not going to change the name anymore.
Yeah, Kevin wouldn't be able to introduce the podcast.
Yeah.
Who's most likely to be a horrible president?
Me. Because I'd shut it all down.
I would be a way worse president. You might actually accomplish things. I'd be like, oh, I understand this side. Oh, I understand that side. Let's just not do anything because I don't want to offend anybody. And you would be like, shit on offending people. This is what we need to do.
I'd be like, look, you get one budget that raises no more money. Then every year after that, you got to cut 10% real dollars.
Yeah. I think you
or
would
you
be
don't
the
get
least,
anything signed.
You would be the least liked president.
Oh, people would hate.
But I think you might actually accomplish something. Whether it be good or bad, you would accomplish something. I am too wishy-washy. I'm too on both sides of the fence. And too concerned about people's feelings.
Booming economy and more personal freedom. That's what I bring to the table.
Okay. Those are good things. Who's most likely to eavesdrop on a conversation?
You.
Definitely.
Yeah, because you've done it, and it's to our great benefit.
Saved our life.
We tell a story. One day we'll tell the full story. But basically, we were having dinner at a Long John Silver's, and because she was listening to the conversation next to us, where the guy was like, "I just want to eat my chicken," and she said, "Well, Boo got shot, and we got to get back to Boo." And I wasn't hearing any of it.
We got to take him to the hospital. He's like, I just want to finish my fish.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, like, it's not that I'm intentionally eavesdropping. I'm just aware of my surroundings. This happens to us a lot, though. We'll be at, like, a restaurant, and people will be talking, and I'll be like, totally oblivious.
Because it's none of my business.
On the same side of that, you'll be talking about something, I'll be like, shh. And you're like, I don't care. That's the difference.
said, told people how I've shit on myself.
I back in the day when you could pick up. I haven't used a cordless phone in such a long time, but you used to be able to pick up like your neighbor's phone calls on your cordless phone.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I can distinctly remember like having a neighbor's call and like just sitting there and listening.
Well, most of those original phones all broadcast on like a 2.4 gigahertz range, and they didn't do channeling, so every phone was on the same channel.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was. I mean, they've gotten a lot better, and they don't do that anymore. But yeah, those original phones were all broadcasting on the same channel and everything.
Or somebody would call the house, and like two people would pick up at the same time, and then the other person would start talking and not realize I had also picked up at the same time, and I hit mute. And I'm like,
because you just want to know if they're talking about you or whatever. So I don't give a shit about what people think.
I mean, that hasn't been since I was little. As an adult, I only eavesdrop to restaurant conversations.
You know, I say I don't care what people think about me, but I'm always asking for comments. For this, I'm curious about what people think. So, but you guys don't comment, so I guess
we get comments.
Yeah, sometimes.
I mean, we're not getting like 780 comments on the thing, but do you really want to read through all that?
I'd like to know, what people are thinking.
Sometimes you don't want to know it. Better off not knowing.
That's true too. All right, well, just send
be
us
like
some
Walt.
cash.
Say, just stop.
Yeah.
We get good positive comments.
I'm pretty happy with that.
All right, so our last one here. Who is most likely to have the most embarrassing tattoo?
Neither one of them. Well, you're probably more likely to get a tattoo.
I think I'm more likely to get a tattoo than you are.
Yeah, because that whole needle thing, fuck all that. I'm not doing it.
I have contemplated getting a tattoo before.
Yeah?
Multiple times.
I know you have.
I have even a couple designs of things I'd like to have.
Mm-hmm.
But it comes down to, like, do I really want to tattoo something on my body? And generally the answer to that is no.
No.
I feel like in order to tattoo something on you, it has to be something you know is going to stay with you as a part of your life. Like if somebody competes in the Olympics, no one can take that away from you. Mm-hmm. You are an Olympian for the rest of your life. I could see getting a tattoo of the Olympic rings or whatever. That to me makes sense. But, I really like butterflies. I'm going to get a butterfly tattooed on me. I can't. For me, I couldn't do that.
Yeah.
Just to get a random tattoo because I want a tattoo. So it would have to be something that really means something to me that would stay with me for the rest of my life. So, I thought about getting Logan Strong tattooed. I thought about getting the phrase, nothing loved is ever lost. I like that.
Yeah, you would contemplate that, particularly right after Libby died.
When Libby died.
Yeah.
With the little, infinity with a paw print. It's still an option.
Yeah. Where would you put it?
That's the problem. Where would I put it? Would you put it somewhere where you would never see it? Well, then you would never see it, so why have it?
Put it right here.
I would never see that.
Yeah, but if it's one of those deals where you can cover it up when you're at work or whatever, or in certain social settings. But if you throw on a light shirt with a sleeveless or whatever,
I'd want it somewhere where I can actually see it.
Oh, well then, yeah.
Like inside here. But then would I really put a tattoo there? Probably.
No. Imagine that hurts a lot.
Probably. All right. When we come back, we got a brand new Table Topics pack. So when we come back, we're going to pull some cards out of that and see what this one's called. DIY therapy. Is that what it's called? Do-it-yourself therapy. Oh, Lord. All right. So we'll come back to
And we're back.
We're back with Do-It-Yourself Therapy with Kevin and
So the new edition of Table Topics that we got. I really like the Table Topics, the sets that we have. I'm looking forward to. We've got this trip coming up in June with the Rose family down in Hatteras, and I want to bring these with us. Maybe we'll record some of it. Maybe we'll just play it with the family. I don't know, but I just think they're nice little conversation starters. So,
yeah. All right. Ready to start?
Sure.
I'm gonna go first. You want to go first?
You can go first.
I always go first.
All right. So then I go first.
Okay.
All right. What does Facebook make you feel better or worse about yourself?
That is great.
That is a really good question.
Facebook. Does Facebook make you feel better or worse about yourself? Probably overall worse.
Really?
Yeah, because I see like people and all the things they're doing with their families and the trips that they're taking, and you know how everybody puts their best face out on Facebook, right?
Yeah.
And you can't help but feel like, gosh, where are they getting the money to do that? How are they pulling that off? They have the same job I do. How are they affording this and that?
Well, they don't have scumbag husbands.
I don't know that for sure. But like, yeah, you see and it's good to see the best parts of other people. I like seeing. I especially love to look at people's wedding photos.
Mm-hmm.
And I will find myself looking through people's wedding photos that someone just tagged in a friend of theirs' wedding pictures, and I don't even know the people, but I'll be like looking. I like to look at wedding pictures. But in general, I always kind of walk away feeling like I'm not doing way as much with my life as most people are.
The wedding picture thing, that's probably because, for the most part, that's usually the best day of people's lives.
I just like to look at the dress, and I like to look at the decorations, and I like to look at, I've always said it in a former life, I must have been a salon owner or a bridal gown designer because I really, really like that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I would make a fairly decent, in my heyday, fairly decent. I would be good directing everything from the center.
The guy in the chair. I heard that.
Yeah. But I guess overall, just I guess worse because I don't always feel like I am accomplishing as much as most other people.
And there she is.
And there she's good. Hang on, folks. Hello.
Hello.
Good. How are you? Look what we're doing. That's okay.
That's all right.
Can I call you back in? You're going to be live on our broadcast. I'll call you back in a little bit. All right. That's okay. Bye.
And it's real life, folks.
I tried to call her during the break and she didn't answer, so I knew she was probably going to call back. But that's okay. I'll call her back in a few. So what about you? What do you feel?
I think Facebook brings out the better part of me. Yeah. And the reason I say that is that I'm a horrible friend when it comes to staying in contact with people on the regular. Like, there are people that call each other and they go and hang out and all that, and I don't do any of that. I'm not the go out and do shit like I used to be in my younger days, just because I don't need to leave the house anymore. Before you came along, I was not happy. I had to go out and find stuff to even make me remotely happy. So, now I can just stay home because I'm happy. And my friends largely understand this, but when I'm on Facebook, I'm still connected to these people. And I'm connected to people that I haven't seen in over 20 years. Like my friend Steve is a childhood friend of mine. I haven't seen that man over 30 years. We were in middle school together. And that was the last time I physically saw the dude. But, we chit chat. We don't, all grown up and whatever, and don't necessarily agree on a lot on everything, but we agree on a lot of things. And it's pretty fun to hash those out. He's a good guy. There's people that I've worked with, even from back in the Canon days that I'm still very close to, but I haven't physically seen in forever, and it's okay, because there we are on Facebook,
Yeah.
So when it comes to that,
I get that.
Now Twitter's a cesspool of fucking shit, but
See, I'm not personally connected to Twitter.
Yeah, I don't go.
Like, I go to Twitter just to see what celebrity.
Yeah.
Like, it's not a real impact. I have a school Twitter, but I don't really communicate back and forth.
Yeah.
Same with Instagram. I'm hardly ever on Instagram, but I know that that's less communication.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess I can see what you're saying. This is just the difference between the optimistic Kevin and the pessimistic Kelly. The social Kevin and the anti-social. I wouldn't say anti-social.
I just spent like a minute talking about how shitty I am about not talking to people.
No, but you looked at it as your opportunity to stay connected to
Oh,
people.
well, yeah.
I looked at it as my opportunity to feel bad about myself.
Oh, you shouldn't feel bad about yourself.
I know.
Because fuck those people. They're just putting their best shit out there. They're not
living their life and sharing their
Yeah,
things
but
with
they're
their
not-
families and friends. I just am on the outside of it, you know.
But the thing about what you're saying is that people do share their best stuff on Facebook. There's a rare breed out there that will share the bullshit that's happening too. Like they might through the occasional angry thing at this company did this blah 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 and this is bullshit. But you know, here we are doing a weekly podcast where we talk about all kinds of horrible stuff that's happening. You know, and
we're not
laugh
trying
it
to
off.
put a pretty face to it, people.
Yeah.
All right. Your question. Are you ready?
Yep.
Have you ever been bullied?
Oh yeah. I was a fat kid. Of course I was bullied.
Yeah. You kind of same.
Yeah.
I mean, you grew up with the tough exterior because of that.
Yeah.
But not so much. I mean, there's still times. I remember I've blocked a lot of things out from elementary. It formed my social anxiety.
Yeah.
Because I was constantly aware of not being accepted as growing up a teenager and that kind of thing. You know, I had a core group of people, and I did not want to put myself out to be embarrassed or pushed away or whatever. But I have a couple of vivid memories of specific things that happened that I still to this day can remember vividly how I felt. And those things stay with me to this day. Certain thing will happen and I'll be like, oh, remember that time when I was like fucking 15 and some jackass who's probably, with any luck out there, on his third wife and paying child support till he doesn't have any money. But like, even as an adult, I don't feel it happens as much as an adult. I think people say things that they don't realize comes across as that. Like the time we were leaving, again, the Long John Silver's, we're going to go back to that. We don't eat there very often, people. But like, we were...
Excuse me. I don't have COVID.
We were coming out of a Long John Silver's, and there was an older couple coming in, and Kevin, being Kevin, like held the door open for them, said, have a good night, whatever Kevin does. He always talks to people as we're leaving the restaurant, and this guy said, "Oh, did you leave anything for us to have?"
Bastard old man. And
I mean, I'm sure in that guy's thought Kevin was this fat, jolly guy who was going to see humor in that, but it's still...
Sometimes it's things because you don't expect it as an adult. I remember one time we were at the little international. You needed something, so I said, "Well, we'll just go over to the international strip mall." I went into 7-Eleven and to get you like
cough drops.
Cough drops. So cough drops are on the candy
at like
aisle.
7 a.m.
Yeah, and as I was looking at the cough drops, I grabbed the bag and was heading up to the counter. This woman said, "Oh, you got to get your candy bar fixed, don't you, fat boy," or something like that.
She didn't say fat boy.
She didn't call me fat boy, but she might as well have.
You coming from the candy aisle or something like that? I'm like, motherfucker. Like,
yeah.
Why?
You went out of your way to say something shitty to somebody.
Really?
And I'm there for cough medicine.
And probably because of that, I've become a non-confrontational person. Like, I am fully aware that the person I am today, this introverted, I am not a social person. I'm not one that, like, my friendships are not ones that I need to be on the phone every day. We don't need to be hanging out. I don't need to go meet for coffee. Like, I just don't have that kind of need. Probably formed because of always feeling like if I put myself out there too much, I was opening myself up for those comments that I was never going to be able to forget once I heard it. Yeah. And not that I let it, like I never went home and cried or like, I mean, I was pretty good at just being like, what an ass, but it just sticks with you, you know?
And it's just not something that's necessary, right. You know? It's really just not necessary.
Mean people suck.
Yeah. Anyway, moving on.
I'm sure I've mistreated people in my life.
Yeah, well, sure. How do you tell the difference between your intuition and your fears? That's an interesting question.
Wow.
How do you tell the difference between your intuitions and your fears?
My first instinct, my first thought that popped into my head was when we sit in the parking lot and we eat breakfast. Kevin and I eat breakfast together every day at Chick-fil-A. Mm-hmm. So much so that we pull to the window and Kevin's like, mobile order our normal for Kelly. And they know who we are. And we usually sit in the same parking space, looking at the same little strip mall, and we just kind of watch what's happening. There have been a couple of times where a random person has walked, not approached the car, but walked toward the car. And there's that moment of, am I in danger from this person, or is it totally fine? And that's, I think, intuition. Mm-hmm. Like, you get a read off of the person.
Yeah.
So...
Well, I've talked about that, where you have to do... Like, we talked about judgments one time, and I said the fact that people think that judging people harshly is bad, and I said that's bullshit. The very first thing you do when you see somebody is you do a threat assessment. And when you are in a situation and you see somebody for the first time, you do a threat assessment. You always do. And in a situation where we're in a parking lot, kind of not where we're supposed to be because we're not going into the Rite Aid to go do anything.
We did get chased off by the Rite Aid. She didn't really chase us off,
she
but
just
I
gave
didn't
us
want
the
to
dirty
park
look.
there while she was working in the parking lot.
I would have parked there. Shit. But anyway, you'll always do a threat assessment, and that's intuition. But there's always a little bit of fear mixed in with that. But I think I don't see these as completely, exclusively separated things.
Well, I remember the lady who was running in an erratic pattern, the zigzag lady.
Yeah, the zigzag lady. We've seen her a couple times.
And Kevin is very wary of zigzag lady. Like, if she's zigzagging her way, because she just looks like she's just randomly jerking in one direction or another. There's no rhyme
obviously, she's got some sort of headphones on. And she's talking. I don't know if she's singing or if she's talking. Looks kind of like she's talking. But she starts running, and she doesn't really run in a direction per se. And it's not always in a straight line either. She'll curve or runs and then break into a different.
And then do a 90-degree turn and run in a different. And
I'm like, all right.
In the parking lot.
Yeah, in this empty parking lot that's across the 4 lanes of traffic. But when she comes across into where we're at, I'm very leery.
Kevin's like locking the door. Now the other day, this old man came up next to me, and Kevin's like, "Oh, your door." I'm like, "Oh, I had got zero intuition feelings off of that guy." Yeah. So, yeah, I mean,
I just don't see these as exclusively separated things. I think intuitions are influenced by fear, and that's a good thing because you have to do a threat assessment.
Yeah, I mean, it's in your DNA.
Yeah.
It's in your DNA.
So I that's my answer to that. I think that's...
Now, if you're talking about fear, like you're going to careen down the side of a mountain in an inclined railway, where my intuition was like, don't you get on this fucking thing? Mm-hmm. But I did it anyway.
Turn right the fuck around.
And that was one of those moments where I fought off my intuition, and I was sorry. But I did overcome that when we got on the Skywheel.
Yeah.
Are you ready for your next question? I think we covered that.
Yeah.
That's a deep topic. Though. Do you give or take more?
I probably give more.
Definitely.
Yeah.
That isn't even. I mean, my answer to that is I take more.
No.
100%.
No, you don't. You don't see what you give. And it's a daily thing. It is a no. Let me do this. She gets visits from people in her building that just want to know her thoughts on things because she's so good at what she does. You have people that specifically come to your room for therapy because they've had a shit day, and they come to your room because it's a calm place where Mrs. Rose is there to make me feel better. And you do, just just naturally do. And anybody, definitely leave comments for this, because I know you folks out there that know her, know exactly what I'm talking about. She is giving you whatever you need. She just doesn't realize she's giving you what you need. And you know it, so let her know in the comments.
I was thinking in the context of us.
Oh, that's crazy too.
Come on, Kevin. I will sit in that recliner and I'll be like, hey, go get me blah blah blah. Will you get me blah blah blah? And you just hop right up and you do the laundry and you make the bed and you wash the dishes and you cook dinner. And what do? I sit there and I color.
You pay all the bills and you make sure the lights are on and the mortgage paid and the fucking because the finance. I famously said it on this show that they don't mean it till they turn it off.
Kevin and I just speak different love languages.
Yeah, I don't mind doing any of that other stuff, but if it came down to me paying the bills, the shit would get turned off. We'd be something. Oh shit, he didn't pay the bill. We got to call it up and pay the extra $20 to get it turned back on.
How many times have I said to you, babe, could you call these people and make an arrangement to pay this?
That's fine.
I hate talking on the phone.
It's not a problem. That's how we work.
Yeah, it is how we
But
work.
you give me so much every day. It's the whole reason I wake up. It's this. I love waking up and being your husband. I get so much from that. It's crazy.
One thing I did give. I gave Kevin a present on my birthday.
Oh, yeah.
For his birthday, which isn't until June. All right, what's the next question?
Oop, my turn.
These are good questions.
These are very good. This is a good purchase. It's called
Do-it-yourself
therapy table topics. Get it for your family.
We covered that.
When you have thought you were just being when have you thought
husband.
Yeah. When have you thought you were just being paranoid and found out you weren't?
Oh my
God! I'm
so
a libertarian,
so many times.
Yeah.
So many times. I have a suspicious brain. So when something goes down, I always go to what's the real reason why this is happening. And sometimes I fabricate up some shit. Most of the time, I'm pretty close to the actual what's really going on here.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. That happens to me a
lot. In the last 10 years, how many of the crazy libertarian conspiracy theories have proven to be true? Government spying on us. Yeah, it's proven to be true. Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself. Come on, folks, you know
that is not
kill
proven
himself.
to be true, Kevin.
Yeah. Any of that stuff. Pick and choose what you want. All of it, they're like, oh, yeah, these guys ended up being right. But it doesn't matter. We still want our government. Yeah.
Lord, let's not get into that. You're talking about the Denver airport. All right, you ready?
Yep.
Do you have a surrogate mother or father figure?
Ooh. Well, your mom and dad. I love my mom and dad. I miss my mom and dad a lot. I do. And one of the reasons I love your mom and dad so much is because when I was younger and on my own, they started to get where they needed help. I couldn't provide it. And Tommy and Darlene could, and they did a great job taking care of my parents. And no disrespect to my brother and sister-in-law at all. They are the best people in the world for that. But I can help take care of your mom and dad. So that goes a long way in the way I do things. That's something that's deeply on my mind on a daily basis. But yeah, your mom and dad have been awesome to me from the very beginning. So
well, you
yeah.
make it easy. Yeah. As long as you're not telling mom that you wouldn't take a crust out glass.
There are some things that I still catch shit
or
about.
Throwing out a wild card at the end of
it. There's also, like, I have people that I would consider like uncles and aunts, like Debbie and Gary. God, I miss Debbie. She was so great. And Gary, I love Gary to death. And so.
I can't think of see, your in-laws, your mother-in-law and your father-in-law aren't really surrogate mothers and fathers. They're still playing that mother and father role. can't think of, like, when I say, oh, I had a second mom growing up. My parents were always the second family for our friends.
Yeah.
You know, I had friends that we, like, hung out a lot with, you know, their family. But, like, as far as, like, seeking advice and things like that, I always just went to my own.
Yeah.
And still do. You know, I've heard that I call my mom a lot while she's been in Georgia.
As you saw.
And mom calls me a lot. And then the bottom line to that is...
Your mom is real good about that because she called me today, as a matter of fact, just to check up on me. So
yeah, but honestly, she's the person who I communicate with and talk through life with the most, probably.
Yeah.
Outside of me.
Yeah.
So, and then there's Dad on the couch who's like, she's trying to torture me. Dad's like me, he doesn't want to talk on the phone. So, anyway.
And there's the dog.
Another counting heard from. I think you have the next question.
That's me.
Yeah.
How often do you let the little stuff get in the way of the big stuff? I don't, but
every blessed day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah, that is a thing for you.
I am and I really think it comes from my need to control everything and be planned for everything.
Yeah.
I want to be, so like if I'm putting my teacher brain on, I want to proactively think through what could go wrong.
Yeah.
And be prepared for that, because when you are caught unprepared, that's when your kids are going to take advantage of you. They're like little opportunists. And if they see weakness, they go for it.
That's something your dad does too, though. Because like if we come up with an idea or a plan, the very first thing that your dad has is the shit on.
But that comes from his job too.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Like looking for where this is going to fail.
Where this is going to fail. Where this is going to go.
So that we can be prepared for
completely wrong.
Right. And I mean, I'm a lot like
Yeah.
that.
Which is a good thing,
I get caught up in the little things. I will tell you, the last 2 weeks I've been caught up in the little things at work so much that I thought I was maybe sliding into depression.
Yeah.
You know, where I could not get motivated to do a single thing. I feel better now than I did at the beginning of this week. Like I was like,
you have one less day.
Looking, well, that didn't hurt. But I mean, I'm more optimistic than I was last Thursday.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I really over the weekend even said to you, like, I think I might be having a problem with being depressed because I can't get motivated to do things I even really love to do. And yeah, it's all those little things that get in the way of the big picture. I have to get better at that.
Yeah.
I have to make a mental, like, I'm just going to focus on the big picture and realize that,
yeah,
we're going to see progress happening over a long period of time and celebrate the little things. This week's gone a long way, professionally for me at work. Well, at home, it's a different thing because by the time I get home, I'm exhausted.
Yeah. And
my knee hurts and my back hurts and I see all this stuff that needs to get done, and there's just this point where it's like it's just overwhelming amount of stuff that I can't do anyway, so why even try?
Well, I would say that's probably true for a lot of people, for most people, because when there is a natural separation between what you do for a living versus what you live to do, which is your life. And hearing you say that, I experience it myself, like at the job. They have criteria that I'm supposed to follow. And a lot of it has to do with the amount of control that you have. When you're working at a big organization, whether it's a private company or in your case a school, there's still structure that you have to adhere to that you don't really have any say in. So you have to make that structure work that you have no control over. So you do kind of have to sweat the small stuff because the stuff that's on my scorecard, some of the stuff I really don't have a whole lot of control over, but I have to adhere to it anyway. And then lately they're like, have you really thought about what else you want to do in the company besides this? No, I'm not going to do anything else. I'm going to do this until I'm done. So
teaching is one of those unique situations where you have control over what's happening in your room.
Yeah.
So, like, my classroom it runs the way I want it to run. It's structured because I need structure.
That's
It's
your control.
Quiet and calm because I need quiet and calm. But yes, I have things that have to happen within that day. And my experience has been in the last few weeks something that was not in my control that I know in my heart is the right thing. But it has been a struggle to fit that into this perfect little community that I had.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I'm finally starting to
but when
recover
you're at home,
from it, the shock of it. But
right. But when you're at home, you do have a lot more say.
I don't have any say at home. What are you talking about?
Well, you have lately because
Well, that's because mom and dad.
But even then, you still have a bit. It's not the same stone cold structure.
No, I'm not at all structured at home.
Yeah, as much as your mom can admittedly, and she'll self-admit being kind of a bulldog. Mom
but
wants something,
she gets
things
done.
She gets things done. But if you really said, no, I don't really want to do that, she would like, okay, well, we'll figure something else out. There is a level of, it's not like at your job where if they've said, well, you have to do this because the state mandates it. Well, there's not anything you can do about that.
Right.
No, so the dynamics change, and you can sweat the bigger stuff on your personal life. So you worry about things like your health and my health and your mom and dad's health, and making sure that all this stuff gets paid and blah blah blah. And
the little things I let go. I mean, you can see how I operate at school versus how I operate at home.
Right.
Completely different.
And that's why, because of the amount of control that and the things that you have to adhere to. And I bet you, again, this is something that's got to be universal, really.
Maybe.
Because everybody's got that same separation. Unless you're like independently wealthy as a lottery winner, which I'd imagine that there isn't one of our listeners is that.
And if you are, our Cash App is
$ K Rose VA.
Are you a better talker or listener?
Oh, I'm a better. Well, I can do both, but I'm probably a better talker because I like to tell the stories.
You are definitely a better talker.
Yeah.
Not that you're not a good listener. But you're definitely a better talker. Yeah. I think I'm a better listener.
No, absolutely, 100%. I like to tell the stories, though. I am inherently a storyteller by nature.
How I know Kevin is the better talker is he'll have a conversation with a friend, and he'll hang up, and I'll say, "Oh, how is so and so?" He's like, "Oh, I don't know." Oh, well, how long are they going to be doing this? Oh, I don't know. I didn't ask that. Whereas I'm like, oh, I'm listening to them and their story, and instead of trying to correlate it to my life in some way, you just have to try to engage them in what's happening with them and ask them questions about it.
That's standard man thing though, because you guy calls up somebody like I've talked to friends of mine that are like recently in the hospital or whatever, and I'm like, "How you doing?" "I'm doing all right." "Great, you're all right." That's it. That's all I need to know.
See,
you're
I'm
all right.
somewhere on the spectrum between you and my mom.
Yeah.
Where my mom will get every detail of every story.
Oh, it's crazy.
I'm kind of like, I'll get the important stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Some questions I don't want to. I'm not going to ask. That's too personal, or I don't have any business. Whatever.
Did you fix the ED?
Oh my God.
She's not that bad. She's
all right.
Making fun.
Was that your question or mine?
No, that was mine. Or yours.
Okay.
So this is my final.
Okay.
All right. This has been a good set.
I like this set a lot.
Yeah, I do. Have you ever had to calm somebody down on an airplane?
Yes.
Really? Yes. What happened?
I flew to Georgia with Jared. And he was young. I don't know how old he was. He was young. And we were flying, which I'm not a flyer, really. And we were in a storm. And it was lightning all around us outside of the plane. and there was a couple sitting behind us, and you could tell the woman was just really nervous. And Jared was just curious, And he said, what's going to happen if one of those lightning strikes hits the plane? And I had to talk to him about, we would be fine. Like, the planes are built for that, blah, 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 blah. And I could tell he was getting a little nervous about the storm, and then that he was jacking up the woman a little bit behind us. I don't even know if Jared, if you're listening to this, I don't know if you remember this or not. But while I was internally freaking out because there was a storm happening, that's one skill I have learned as a teacher, that when the shit is going down and you're freaking out, but you can't show that you're freaking out because you don't want your kids to freak out, so you put on this calm exterior that everything's going to be fine. You have everything under control when inside you're like, what the hell? Yeah, that's definitely a teacher skill that came out in me.
That reminds me of when we were in Tennessee with Cole. Cole, as a kid, he was like deathly afraid of storms and tornadoes specifically, and to the point where we tell a story when we were at the mini golf, and it started thunderstorming. We were in a little, cave or whatever, and Kelly's like, "Should we go back to the car?" He just, yes.
So and then when we were in Nashville, we had a tornado warning, or whatever they call it when they've spotted the tornado.
Yeah. And we told the story before.
Yeah,
but
we were like in the hallway with like 5,000 people for a couple of hours, but he did really good that time.
He did really good because the thing of it was, and I remember this clearly, before he could start really freaking out, because we got huddled into this little mass, and he was kind of like looking around, and there was this other little girl that was his age, and she was really losing it. And the boy, he turned it on. The kid's a natural showman.
He's a performer.
He's a showman for sure.
He
to
loves
this day.
Make people laugh. Mm-hmm.
And he turned on, and his job, he made it his own job to cheer this little girl up.
I don't even know if he intentionally did that, but it was just really, it was really cute.
So that was amazing. For me, I flew to my cousin's wedding with my two brothers and my cousin out of Richmond to Boston. Hour flight. First time I ever been on an airplane. And my asshole older brother Billy, who I'm sure is listening, you are an asshole on this. He kept telling me, he's like, is the plane supposed to shake like that? And he's like fucking with my seat or whatever. So I had to calm myself down because he wasn't going to help out. Fucking asshole.
That's what brothers are for.
Yeah.
Did you expect him not to give you one?
Yeah, I guess not. But I was already a little freaked out because I was walking in to go through the security. And I go through the metal detector and it says, "Sir, we need you to step over here." And I'm like, "Oh, all right." And it was the security. They make me go into this, like it looked like a phone book. I was like, "What the hell?" And I was like, "What the hell is that?" And I said, "Oh, we just scanned you. You're a random person." I was like, "Oh my God, they got the nudie pictures of me." I was all freaked out by that.
We got scanned at the Pentagon once.
Yeah, they know everything about us at the Pentagon. There's photos of us at the Pentagon.
And we had our car searched at the lighthouse that time. Remember the military guys pulled us over?
Yeah, and that truck come thundering up and stopped
what
there.
What the hell is going on?
We thought they were going to have a shootout right there.
Yeah, it was
great.
It was kind of scary. All right. What are you afraid of at 3 a.m.?
Oh, nothing really. I mean, I'll get up with the dog, and that's it. I guess the only thing I'm worried about is it too late to. I'm at 3 o'clock. Is that time where I'm like wondering, do I go back to bed?
That's not a fear.
Or do I just stay
what
up?
are you afraid of?
I'm not afraid of anything.
Here's my fear, and this has been with me since as long as I can remember. Two things. Number one is if I get up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night, I always have a sense that there's somebody walking right behind me in the hallway.
That's weird.
It is. Like there's someone hiding in the
There's
house.
not.
And then when I'm walking, they're like walking up behind me. That has always been a problem for me. And the second thing is I did last night. I looked out the window because there was an ambulance across the street.
Yeah.
But I will not look out a dark window because my greatest fear is that there's some freaking psycho looking right back in at me.
That's true. When we first moved in with each other, she had there was like a blind that wasn't completely closed, so she wakes me up because of course I'm already asleep. She wakes me. She's, I need you to close that window because I have this fear and I think somebody's out the window. So I'm like, all right, and I get up and I start walking the window. I was like, hey, buddy.
Not funny.
How's it doing, buddy?
I used to have a fear driving, like when you're driving along a road that's not a populated road, but like through the woods, not through the woods, but like there's
like Shore Drive,
trees
that stretch of road in Shore Drive that's like
there's a stretch
a mile
road,
long,
like going out to 168. That's just trees on both sides.
Yeah, I know.
It's dark if you're going down it at night. I always had a fear that somebody was going to come stumbling out of the woods in front of my car. And we were coming back from the Outer Banks one year, and it was my friend and her husband and their kids and I in the car. And I was sitting in the front seat, and my friend's husband was driving. And I had stupidly voiced this concern. And out of nowhere, he's like, ah! Like, oh my God, totally. I was like, that was so wrong. But yeah, I have weird things like that. I will sit and have to go to the bathroom for hours before I'll get up to action. Might be different tonight. We're gonna switch sides of the bed, so I'll be closer to the door. It might not be so.
That's our plan, to try to
thwart Tilly into taking Mercy.
Yeah. Which we'll get into next week.
In the Tilly episode, you're definitely gonna want to watch that one.
Yeah. All right.
We good?
We're good.
We covered everything.
We got 5 cards in each, and that's a really good set.
That is a good set.
That is good set. Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah.
And I don't have to get up very early tomorrow.
Yeah, because you're off, and I'm
not off.
Well, you're not
I have
off.
to
You
work.
got work, but
I have to work, but I can work from home.
Yeah. But next week we'll let you know if parents come home.
Hopefully, the Logan parent saga of Christmas will be completed next week.
And then we'll do a very special Tilly episode.
Sounds great.
All right.
Until then, y'all have a great week.
Bye, everybody.